Started recording. I'm going to start recording right now. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close a few things. I don't need this anymore. And this. I'm going to open it up on mine, and I'm going to change my share as well. So let's see. I really wish on this when I'm trying to switch screens, it gives me a really little view of what's going on here. So, and of course, I can't find the one I'm looking for. So where is that? All right. Okay. So can you see on the screen where I've got 00 schema, etc.? Can you see this?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Then what I'd like you to do is I'm taking for granted that you both either have Notepad or Notepad++ or something similar to that. All right. So I want us to open up this schema file. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to open it up inside of Notepad++. Now, am I right in assuming you can't see that in Notepad++ on the screen? Can you see it in Notepad++ or not?
No.
Okay, then I got to stop my share and start a new one. Now can you see it on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, because I want to explain to you everything that's in here. We've talked about this a little bit, but I want to do it again anyway. All right, so this first thing that's right here, ideally at least, it's going to allow us to create a new database. All right, notice I just called it company XYZ, so that'll be fine. You can call it whatever you want. You can always change the name later. What you'll notice when you look on the screen here is a lot of the stuff here is in blue. Anything that's in blue that you see there is a keyword in the MySQL relational database management system. So I want to walk through some of this stuff that's in here with you. All right. As you'd probably guess, this is designed to create a brand new database. All right. Now, when you do that, in most things, when you do that and you hit, and all that's going to happen is it'll say something like database created. But as you'd probably guess, it's totally empty. But what should happen is, if you remember, because I don't want to change my share on here, but if you remember when we had that PHP my admin window up and it showed all those different databases, it should now add company XYZ to that list. Just because you've added it to the list doesn't make it the active database. In fact, you can do that while you've got another database up and active. But the use command says make the database active. In other words, that's the database that I'm currently working with. All right. Then, if you notice, starting in line 4 and going all the way down to line 79, basically the rest of the program here, this whole thing is what's referred to as the database schema. In other words, it has the name of every table, the name of every field in the table, the data type of every field that's in the table, when appropriate, the size of every field that's in the table, and any constraints that we have on there. So let's talk about all of these. All right. And I want to talk about the syntax, etc., and how this stuff is used. So as you guess, we now, after we run these two commands, this is our active database. This is saying we want to make a brand new table. All right. And this table will have in it two fields, one called category ID, one called category description. The category ID, as you can see, is our primary key. Hopefully you remember from when we talked about this earlier, a primary key is referred to as a unique record identifier. So the category ID, if I put 50 records in there, so if I have 50 different categories, we won't, but if we did, each one of those would have to be a different value. They're an integer. You know what an int is already. They can't be null, which means you cannot leave it blank. And auto increment means that the first one that you put in there started at 1, the next one will be 2, etc. Automatically number the category IDs for us. Now, yesterday, when I started to show you this stuff, we had the word, you may have seen the word identity in there. That's how we're going to end up doing it because, again, this is the MySQL relational database management system. I just want us to get a few queries under our belt. Then next week, we're going to basically take this same database and we're going to recreate it under SQL Server. And that's what we'll be doing for the last 3 weeks or so of class. All right. Now you'll notice the category description. That's a varchar, which means it's variable length, which means it can be 0 to 75 characters. And it can be null, which means that when we put in a category description, we can leave it blank. Do both of those make sense to both of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Then you've got a customers table, which is very similar. So I'm not going to go over it other than to say we've got a small int here for the area code. We didn't have to do that. And what's the difference between an int and a small int? It's just how many characters they can hold. Typically, a small int will hold up to 32,767 characters, whereas an int will hold over 4 billion. All right. Now, one thing that we should have changed here, we can leave it. It's totally fine the way it is. But probably what I should have done is made this a char instead of a varchar. In fact, you can do it if you want to. Totally fine. All that means is it is fixed length. So in other words, if we try putting in a state abbreviation, and for Missouri, we put in Missouri, M-I-S-S-O-U-R-I, it'll blow up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you can either way, I mean, it's not going to hurt. We can leave it as a varchar. It's not going to hurt anything. All right. Then you'll notice, and I think I said this the other day, the customers table and the employees table are almost identical. ID, first name, last name, street address, city, state, zip, area code, and phone number, except these represent all of our customers. These represent our employees. And you're all smart. You're both smart enough to realize this, but it is totally legitimate that an employee could be a customer. All right. My daughter, my middle daughter works at Whole Foods, and she is an employee from 5 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. But if we ask her to stop and buy us some groceries, then she's a customer. All right. After that, before she leaves. All right. Then we've got vendors in here. Again, that doesn't look all that different from the previous one, except the vendor just has a name. So the vendor is basically the company that's going to sell us goods. All right. But when you look at in here, the only thing that's a little bit different is this field right here. And a text field can literally have, I don't remember what the size is, but I think it's about 64,000 characters. All right. And some web pages, if we were going to put in a URL, some URLs are real small. Some URLs are fairly big. So if we put in 50, what if ours is bigger than 50? Then it wouldn't work. That's why this is made. That's why it is made a text. All right. Then we've got a product. So vendors, as you'd guess, sell products. All right. But when you look at this, notice vendor ID. Everything here starts with vendor. This is all the information about the vendors. This is all the information about the vendor's products. So each product has its own ID. Each product has its own name, short description, a long description, an image, a price, a quantity, and a category ID. Well, the first thing that you should notice in here is that doesn't start with the word product, or product rather. That category ID is one of the values we put in here. We are going to have 6 categories in our database. So this will say for that particular product, which of these 6 categories does it belong to? And notice that in here, this is a primary key. You can see it right there. Down here, this is not a primary key. In fact, this field right here is called a foreign key. So we are able to relate the information from the products table and the categories table together. All right. And again, you might say, well, who cares? What if I wanted a list of all the products the company sells? And imagine this was even Walmart. All right. And somebody said, well, I want a list of all the products. You say, oh, okay, that won't take long. And you say, yeah, but I want them by category. All right. So in other words, if I've got something that's called household, and maybe I've got 10,000 different household items, I want those together. Then I've got another one that's called sporting goods, and maybe that's got 500 things. I want those together. So we've added the category ID field to the products table so that we're able to relate these 2 tables together. All right. I'm not going to say, does that make sense? Because I think when you see it in action, it'll make more sense. All right. The other thing too, this, just so you know it, the product price is 15 decimal 15 comma 2. And some people find that confusing. 15 is the total number of digits that you have in there. And imagine we had 15 nines. All right, 999,999,999,999,999. And we had a decimal point and two places after the decimal point. So it looks like when I'm looking at this, I don't know, it would be a big number. I don't know if it's 9,999,999,999.99. Now, you wouldn't have a product that costs that much, but you get the idea. If, for example, if this had said 52, that would mean that the biggest number we could put in there would be 5 nines, and there would be a decimal place, and then 2 of the nines. So if we changed it to that, the biggest number would be $999.99. Does that make sense to both of you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you'll notice we've got another table here that's called product vendors. The way I didn't set up this database, this is one that was in a book I used many years ago. All right. But if you look real close here, you'll notice that vendors and products have no fields in common right now. They don't have any fields in common. Now, when you look at it, there's not exactly a relationship between vendors and products. And right now there is no relationship, and we want one. So you notice that vendor ID is the primary key in this table, and product ID is the primary key in this table. All right. Then notice that when we brought these together and we tried to combine information, notice what the primary key is. It is the primary key of the other two tables. This table, there is what's called a many-to-many relationship between vendors and products, because many vendors can carry the same product and many products can be carried by many vendors. So technically, what we have right here, and just what you see on the screen, is what's referred to as a many-to-many relationship. When you get those many-to-many relationships, you typically add a new table that's called a join or a jump table, so that you are able to combine the information from the two tables together. Now, if I do want to combine information from this table and this table, I can do it by using this intermediate table that's right here. Plus, I've added a couple new fields. One for product vendors, which has got for that particular product vendor, what is their wholesale price? And how many days does it take it to deliver? And again, I think you get this, but just to be sure, what I'm saying is, if this is Walmart and that's my vendor ID and that's their product ID, that's how much Walmart charges for it and how many days to deliver to them. But on the other hand, if this is Schnucks, it'll have a different vendor ID and probably a different product ID, because probably two different stores don't name their stuff in the same way. All right. Then finally, we've got two more tables in here. We've got a table that's called orders, and we've got a table that's called order details. So, all right, we've got categories of different products. Our customers come in and they buy different products. Our employees have to handle those products, and our employees can also be our customers. If we're a Walmart, we have to deal with vendors, because we have to have different companies come in and bring us our grocery products, our produce products, etc. All right. Those vendors bring us in different products. All right. Well, what we do is we order different products. And everything that we order, when we order something, it'll have an order ID. So every time we create a new order, it's going to have, it's going to have on it a new, hold on a second. I just got my 10-minute message up, so you can't see this on the screen, but my screen just, there it is. All right. So when we get in, every time we place a new order, it has its own order ID, and it has that so we're able to track it. All right. Also, when we create that order, it has a date that's connected to it, the date the order was placed. So if it was today, the order date would be 4/8/2020. All right. It's got a date that it's going to be shipped. Now, with some products, they're shipped out immediately, but you know as well as I do. In fact, my wife ordered some new sheets for our bed, in our bedroom, and she ordered them. She saw them online someplace, and she ordered them, and it said that you will get them in. It was 5 to 7 business days. Well, then about 5 days went by. We didn't get them yet, but before the 7th day, we got a message saying that they were back ordered, and they would take another week. Well, we got them within that time, but the point is, the ship date is when you set up a ship date, that's when a product is supposed to ship. This is the customer that supposedly bought this. So if you look at this as being like an online type of service, and this is the employee who handled it. All right. And if I went online and let's just say I ordered let's say I ordered 3 books for the fall semester. So I'm the customer. My order ID would be some number, today's date. Amazon, if I did that, would tell me when it would ship. it would know my customer ID, and it very well might have an employee that's going to handle it. All right. The details then would include my order ID, but I could have ordered a lot of things. So it also needs the product ID. In fact, sometimes these are called orders, and you may have heard of this already. This, instead of order details, sometimes this is called line items. So these are the different things that make up the order. So every order is associated with an ID. Every product in that order has a product ID. Every one of those products has a quoted price and the number that was ordered. And you'll notice again that this particular table right here needs two different fields, just like this one did, for a primary key. When it has two different fields like that, it's called a composite or combined or concatenated primary key. Now that was a lot to go over with you quickly, and I've got the 10-minute message here, and that was about 5 minutes ago. So I'm going to stop in just a second, and what I'm going to do is just get a new URL. Keep this file up on your system, please, if you have it. Okay, and go ahead and drop off right now, and I'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes with a new URL for you. I'll see you then.